So I think I was a Scorpio in a past life. The more I read about it, the more I think, I think that was me last time. Now I'm the opposite. Now I'm the side of Taurus, which is why Scorpio season tends to be intense. Because you could often, it's you relate to your opposite sign, but it also is opposite. So it can be challenging because it's not the way that you sort of view and deal with the world. Although there's always a lot of what would you say, there is some familiarity. I think we just know the qualities of our opposite sign. So tonight we're talking about Scorpio, which is about power. It is an intense sign, and each house in the astrological wheel is governed by one of the signs, and Scorpio governs the eighth house, which is the house that deals with a lot of things we don't always talk about, like sex, death, money, and power. So power or control. And Scorpio actually deals a lot with how we personally handle power, but also or control, or who has power over us. So if you want to set intentions, this is the night to do it, or in the next 48 hours. And the real lesson of Scorpio is that you could make anything happen. They really are the transformers, the alchemists. So Scorpio energy is about the power of being able to take something that might be perceived as dark or challenging in some way, and transforming it into an enlightened version of that. So we all know that the symbol of Scorpio, typically we most relate it to the scorpion, who's got its little stinger. And that's what people often think about with Scorpios, is that little but the other symbol, and I wrote about this in the email, is the sign of the phoenix, or sometimes the eagle. So when we are able to go to depths, where there's the depths of our psyche, the depths of human experience, we're seeing a lot of darkness and shadow, taking that and transforming it to something elevated is the magic of Scorpio. And that's really where the power comes from. So it's actually an incredibly spiritual sign. It's and it's important. I said this recently with Kendra when we did our Day of the Dead class, that the part of the cycle of nature that we just don't like to deal with is the part of decline and death. And we just kind of like, no, not happening. In America, I just want to grow and build and consume and collect, but I don't want to let it go. And I certainly don't want to die. So we're going to talk about that and the power of surrender. But I thought what we would do to start, before we go into a yin pose, is, all the signs rule different parts of the body. Scorpio is the genitals. So it's all about regeneration. So it's the genitals as well as any eliminatory processes in the body. So it also includes the anus. So I thought we can't do a Scorpio session without doing some Mula Bandha. So in yoga, there are different what we call locks, and they can be used during pranayama or held during poses. And it's a way, in yoga, we're basically sort of like with Chinese medicine and yin yoga, we're trying to break up blockages. In yin, we refer to it as in the meridians, and in yoga, they call the energy channels nadis. And what the locks or the bandhas do is they can contain and move energy. So Mula Bandha is basically contracting and lifting up the pelvic floor and the anus, and to some extent the genitals, sort of like doing a Kegel. And the purpose for that is, it's very, very powerful. It's to move the energy up the sushumna, so from the lower chakras up to the crown. And so we're gonna practice that today, and we're gonna do it with a a breath practice. So when you engage Mula Bandha, let me get my strap. It's not exactly a Kegel, because a Kegel's really just kind of squeezing your, for women, vaginal muscles, and the anus gets squeezed too. And that's part of it, but it's more of a lifting up of the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor between the perineum and the anus, basically here. And how we used to describe it in many classes ago was, imagine you're putting on some tight jeans and you got to lift up and kind of draw in, lift and draw in. Scorpio is very graphic, so you might as well get into it. You're going to lift up the pelvic floor. At the same time, you're going to kind of squeeze and contract the anus. Okay, let's try it. Get loose first. Usually do it seated, but you can do it standing as well, and get your knees bent a little bit so you're a little bit looser. And then just lift up and draw in. And relax. And you will often do Mula Bandha while you're holding the breath, which is what we're going to do. But before we hold the breath, I'm going to give you a specific pranayama to use. And there's two that work really well with Mula Bandha. One is Kapalabhati, which is that, I always like the way Megan does it. She does 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And this is the breath we do by drawing in the belly, really the low belly, while you exhale. So again, going back to my early days as a yoga teacher, I used to always teach this by imagining you have a bug in your nose and you have to get it out. So you go, so everyone try that. Okay, perfect. So you're going to exhale forcefully and let the inhale just take care of itself. When you exhale is when you draw in the belly. So you're drawing in here as you're going. I'm doing a little exaggerated. It doesn't have to be quite that forceful. And Megan, I think this really helps. She will do it when she's leading it. She goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So the 1 is the drawing in, but it's actually on the exhale. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's a little bit, I don't know, once you know it, it's not too hard, but that can be a little bit more challenging than the next one that we're going to do, and you can choose which you prefer. The other one is breath of fire, sometimes called Bhastrika, and it is often done in Kundalini yoga. And this is a rapid bellows breath, a rapid inhale, exhale. So on the first one, Kapalabhati, we're just doing that forceful exhale. Bhati, we're just doing that forceful exhale. Breath of fire, you're doing both pretty rapidly. So it's like this. Wait a minute. Sort of like you're panting, but the mouth is not open. So, and you are inhaling with Kapalabhati, but you just focus on that forceful exhale and you just kind of ignore any effort on the inhale. With breath of fire, it's both inhale, exhale rapidly. So it's in the nose. I always have to inhale first for some reason. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So what we'll do, you're going to choose either one of those, whatever feels more comfortable and accessible. And we'll do that for a minute. I'll count. And then I'll say, release the breath completely. Take an in breath. You'll take a big breath in, and then we hold the breath and engage the lock, engage Mula Bandha. Okay. And we'll hold that just as long as you comfortably can. All right. All right, friends, ready? It's going to get your energy going and really make you feel quite powerful. All right. So sit up nice and tall. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Almost there. Okay, let that out. Big inhale. Lift and squeeze, engage Mula Bandha, holding the breath. And just as long as you can, whenever you need to exhale, you exhale. And you're going to close your eyes. It's a pretty powerful breath. This is not very yin, but we'll get there. But Scorpio is about power, force. It is fixed water, so it's working with the emotions in a very strong, intensive way. Whereas Pisces, the mutable sign, might kind of flow in and flow out. Scorpio's going to hold on to them. Okay, so while you close your eyes and you feel this energy circulating, just say to yourself, just try this on. I am powerful. I am in control of my life. Very Scorpio. Well, let's rephrase that. I am in control of my decisions. I am in control of my thoughts, my words, and my actions. I have healthy boundaries. I own my power. I can make anything happen. Okay, today specifically, you have the power to transform energy. You have the potential to change anything in your life during this time. You have the power to unlock hidden truths and intuitive visions. If you want to detach from old patterns holding you back, you can. If you want to call in abundance, you can. If you want to create a more empowered version of yourself, you can. Just be willing to dive into all of your feelings, knowing you have the ability to transform them into anything you want. All right. And just notice if any of those, when I'm saying those affirmations, if any of you might have been like, yeah, or some of them might have been like, oh, I don't know. Particularly pay attention to those, oh, I don't know ones, because that's significant information. Okay, from here, let's go ahead and come down. If you, I was sitting on a meditation cushion. If you were, just come down onto the ground, because I want to feel those sit bones. And I always find one of the easiest ways to do that is to lift up your feet. And then you're really connected. Scorpio has a lot to do with the root chakra, which is kind of our primal survival mechanism. It relates to a lot of those Scorpio themes, it relates to money, it relates to our ancestors, it relates to if we feel safe and secure. Security might be a little bit more of a Taurus thing, but certainly feeling out of control would be an issue in that first chakra. So feeling in control, very first chakra. And if you want to play with the balance at all, you can extend a leg, both legs, or just hang out. Just take a few more breaths, maybe close your eyes, and just say to yourself again, I am powerful. I have the potential to change anything in my life. Okay, let's go ahead and bring the feet back down, and we're going to come into a forward bend. So if you want to stay in butterfly, you can do that. You might elevate the feet. I don't have a bolster here. If you prefer to stretch out the legs and do dragonfly, you can do that. You can even do the one I rarely do in class because it's usually harder for people. Straight legs, forward bend. So in Yin, we call this caterpillar. Into your preferred forward bend and just go deep and dark into your little cave, your little Scorpio cave. And I will tell you about Scorpio. So Scorpio has some wonderful, wonderful qualities. I think, one of the most typical, and I don't think they always get enough credit for their positive traits, but Scorpios are very loyal. I mean, man, if you have a Scorpio in your corner, you are protected. They are very resilient. They can take blows and get up again and go right back to whatever the challenge was. They are resilient. They have staying power. They are loyal, caring, protective, very dedicated. They're also incredibly disciplined. So when they want to do something, they can just really harness the power of focus and get things done. They tend to be intelligent. It's an intelligence sign. Very, very intuitive. Very psychic, self-reliant, emotional, wise, purposeful, very brave and courageous. I think that's a real true Scorpion quality. And they have that real capacity to go deep, whether it's, the depths of wisdom, the depths of emotion. They are able to really take in information or experience and really share the profundity of life. They are transformative and they are spiritual. It's a very spiritual sign. So more challenging traits of Scorpio, some of you may know. Usually the first word that comes up for Scorpios is intense. They can be very intense, which kind of goes along with being controlling. They are known for really wanting to be in control of their environment, control of others. They can be somewhat suspicious, sometimes even verging on obsessiveness. They can get so into something that it really becomes an obsession. They can be possessive, kind of brooding, competitive, compulsive. Let's see. I think that's enough. That's enough. Jealousy. Yeah, there's always a but very sexy, always known as one of the sexy signs. So the 8th house and how these energies may show up in your experience with the zodiac is whenever we're dealing with issues around power and control. And again, it's not just you being in control, but control over you. Who has control over you? Who has power over you? So it's also the sign of sex, death, and money. But unlike Taurus, which is the other money sign, that's more about creating and making money. Scorpio is often related to money you get from others or money that you owe others. So it has to deal with inheritances, loans, grants, things like that. That's Scorpio. Scorpio, or the eighth house, is often associated with the shadow. So things that we bury in the subconscious, usually because of trauma of some sort, or as a child we have an experience and it's uncomfortable, so we learn, oh, maybe it's not good to show when I'm scared, or reveal when I'm angry, because then I won't be loved, so I will hide that and suppress it. Some of the archetypes that are associated with Scorpio and Scorpionic energy is a psychologist going into the depths of the subconscious, detectives uncovering secret spies, but also the shaman, the alchemist, those who transform, particularly who transform the dark or the negative into something exalted. Scorpio energy can also do with addictions and obsessions, but whereas Pisces, which also deals with addictions, they deal with addictions more as a form of escapism. With Scorpio, it's what is controlling us. So the addiction, the control nature of the addiction. Another aspect of Scorpio, which is kind of related in some ways to sexuality, but it's the complete merging with the other, with another. So it's that surrender that happens when you completely release and give over to another, and ultimately to spirit, which is why it is truly one of the most linked to spirituality and spiritual transformation. It's also very much linked to death, ancestors, past lives, and karma. Okay. So just notice, before we leave this forward bend, if any of those qualities or traits, positive or negative, you identify with. We all have shades of all the signs. Okay, now before we get up, I want you again to feel your sit bones and feel into your hips, and then really press down into the ground as you lift up. Good. And then let's just move the props to the sides. Okay, and we'll just bring the feet in front of the knees and do a couple windshield wipers. And then we're going to come into a squat, because I know that's for some people a little bit more challenging. So we want to do this early on so you can really rest when we do our meditation. So wide knees, knees tracking over toes, elbows to the inside of knees if you're able to do a freestanding squat. If not, you could use your block to support you. Support the hips. Once you come into the shape, just see if you can close your eyes. Let the tailbone drop. That scorpionic area closer to the earth. And just try to be here. So Scorpio is very much about endurance. They really are the sign that can like I don't want to say tolerate pain, but they are the endurers more than some of the other signs are like, this is hard. I'm gonna give up. That's probably more Taurian. Well, Taurians are very they're very persistent. Couple more breaths. Okay, before we leave this shape, I want to do just a little twist. So bring your right hand down and just lift up your left arm and then just wrap it behind you. You might be able to bring it to the right side of the waist and just look up over your shoulder. And then let's change sides. So we'll put the left hand down, reach up with the right. Inhale. Exhale, wrap it around, looking over the right shoulder. Coming back to center. If you're able to, just walk the hands forward and drop the head. And then slowly come down to your knees and sit on your heels. Now I want to show you another version of malasana, of squat, straight it. And for those of you whose bodies feel that they can accommodate this, can do it. And those of us who don't want to do it are going to just sit on the block. So how I do this, and let me get the block. I always put the block in front of my body, and you got to really see my feet. Okay. So you start with the feet together and you take your knees wide, so wide that your torso just sinks between the thighs. And then let me do this sideways. Then you wrap your arms in front of the shins and grab hold of your heels. Now, some people can just naturally bring their head to the ground, but if that seems out of reach, you just bring it to a block at whatever level. Okay, anyone up for that? You want to try? Okay, let's just try it. And if you're like, my body's not going to do it, just go into child's pose or squat with a block. Okay, so bring your feet together. Start with the feet together. Bend your knees and take them wide. So that's the thing. You got to go real wide. So you're already sinking down into the squat, and your torso just comes in between the thighs. Then you wrap your arms. This is where people get confused. Your arms go in front of the shins and then reach back to grab your heels. And you drop your head either to the floor or on a block. Now, ideally, the heels are on the ground, but that's hard. Don't freak out if they aren't. Okay, and just some deep breaths. If at any point your knees just do not like this, just come into child's pose. Try to really just release any tension of the low back. If you can, imagine the tailbone dropping, just melting. So the kind of middle of your spine was the top of a mountain, and your head and the tailbone are like the two parts of the base of the mountain. Just a few more breaths. Okay. Go ahead and release your hands from the heels and just slowly come down. If you're not there already, into child's pose, bring the head to the ground, arms to your sides. And you might want to smooth out the low back with your hands. If you happen to have a sandbag, it's great to put it on the low back. And just rest. When you feel ready, just slowly roll your torso up. Nice. And we'll just shift the hips off the heels and bring the legs around. And let's windshield wiper again. So we're going to bring feet forward of the knees, hands behind, just a couple. And then we're going to come into mud flap girl, who's probably more of an Aries or a Leo, I'm imagining. But she could be a Scorpio because she's definitely very sexy. Okay, so mud flap girl, feet forward of the knees, hands behind you. And you start by pushing down actively with your hands, lifting up the chest. And then the most important part, squeezing and drawing in. Draw the low back in, draw the abdominals. You might even be able to take a deep breath in and then engage Mula Bandha. And whenever you need to release the breath, just release. Okay, let's bring the left ankle onto the right thigh. Okay, hands behind you. We're just going to rotate onto that right hip and back to center. So inhale here, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Pause and hold. Take this left hand and just draw that knee forward in space for a couple deep breaths. And then relax, come back to center. Now we're going to bring that right foot close into the glutes, to the seat. So you're all crumpled up like a little crumpled up piece of paper, but you're going to push down with your hands, lift up the chest, and then feel into that left hip. Breathing. And then slowly lower yourself down onto your back, and let's extend the right leg straight. So if you can start with your head off the ground, just drawing that leg in towards the face for maybe 2 or 3 breaths. And then you can release the head to the floor, bend the knee, and continue to draw both legs in towards you. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and just release your hands from your legs and lower that right foot to the ground. And Liz, I think what we'll do is come into a full twist. So just slide that left knee on top of the right and let the knees drop over to the right. Your left arm can be out in a T. You might bring your right hand on top of the knees and just relax. If your shoulder's popping up, the left shoulder's popping up off the ground, support the knees. let's come out of the twist and come back onto our backs and just kick the legs a little bit. And then we have to rock up to seated to do that all again. Okay, so let's start. I have to remember that I was mirroring you. So we're going to put right ankle on left thigh, hands behind you. Remember that left foot is forward in space. We're going to take an inhale, exhale, rotate onto that left hip. Inhale back to center, exhale, rotate. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Oh, let's do it one more time. Inhale, exhale, and hold. And then take that right hand, just very gently draw the bent knee forward in space. Good, and release, come back to center. This is when we're going to bring that left heel close into the glutes, push down with the hands, keep the right foot flexed, lift up your chest, now feel into the right hip. You can come down onto your back and straighten that left leg, lifting the head and shoulders up and drawing that leg in towards the face. Just take a few deep breaths here. And then you can relax the head down, bend the left knee, and continue to draw the legs in towards the rib cage. Okay. Let's go a couple more breaths on this side. Okay. And then let's go ahead. You can just release that left foot to the floor and then slide the right knee on top of the left and let the knees just drop over to the left. Again, watch that right shoulder. If it pops up, be sure to support the knees. Yeah. And if it's too intense with the knees one on top of each other, you could always actually just bring the ankles and knees together in more of that right angle shape. Okay. Let's take a couple more breaths here in the twist. then slowly roll out of it. You can take your legs up in the air and just point and flex your feet a couple of times. And circle the ankles. Good. And then I want you to get comfortable because we're going to do a little meditation here and probe some stuff in a good Scorpio way. So if you want to put something under your knees, anything under your head, just get comfortable as if you were going to be, we'll be here for about 10 minutes. So, you know, we're not quite at Shavasana, but this is a mini Shavasana like interlude. So during times like these, when it's would be very easy because the environment's just ripe for it to experience a confrontation, to get triggered by some old stuff buried deep in the subconscious. And that is basically what Carl Jung named the shadow. So the shadow is parts of ourselves that we can't acknowledge, that we can't face. Maybe because we're ashamed of it, or we just put it in the closet because it was painful for some reason, usually early in life. And we know when our shadow is running the show because we witness it when we or someone else has an intense reaction to a situation that is disproportionate to what's really going on. Also, when we feel particularly judgmental of someone else, those are typically things that we have, but we don't want to acknowledge, you know, that we have suppressed. The key with doing shadow work is not so much getting rid of those reactions or those emotions that underlie those reactions. It's bringing them to the surface so that they're seen, experienced, and held. And it's in that process of making space, instead of hiding it or trying to get rid of it, stuff it, you make space, you feel it. You know, ideally you would journal and say, what caused me? You know, what led to this? It's that process of exposure that actually transforms it. And that's when you can really ask for, you know, grace and spirit to help transform things that are challenging for you. Okay. You have to really hold it with compassion, because, you know, everything that we bury into the shadow, or emotions that are just too difficult for us to deal with, the best thing to do is really be compassionate and try to understand, you know, why that's painful or why that's shameful, you know, and relate to yourself like the child who had that early experience, most likely. Okay. So here on the ground, I want you to feel your body releasing into the earth. And just start to connect with the breath. Just observe the breath for like 3 to 5 nice, slow rounds. Literally just feeling the breath come in through the nostrils, moving down the throat into the lungs. Maybe you feel it in the belly, and then reversing that pathway. And then bring your awareness right to the center of your chest. And we're going to soften the heart first so it opens a little bit and doesn't brace. So I first want you to just think about something that makes you smile. Yeah, just really feel that. And then think about a being who you really love. It may be a person, maybe a pet. There's no effort. Just you just want to give them a squeeze and a kiss. Feeling those energies, one of joy and one of love, deep love. Just let that soften and open your heart. And you might feel a little pulsing at the center of your chest. Maybe a softening, a warming. Just allowing any hardness around the heart chakra to soften. Just allowing softness. So I'm going to just flow over you some questions and try to stay, deep here, deep under that analytical mind. It will pop up, but just stay in the heart. Just answer these questions from the heart and don't struggle. If you don't know the answer at first, don't worry. You're going to get the recording and you can always go back and journal with these questions later. So for now, just open and allow whatever comes up to arise. Okay, first one. What is a repeating trigger in my life that causes an unusually big reaction in me? Is there a common trigger, like being ignored, being told to be quiet? And the reaction is typically either anger or fear, like anxiety. It's either you shut down or, it's fight or flight. What is something that you typically strongly judge about others, where you see it in others and you're, ugh. And this is always a tricky one because it's like, we think of things we really don't like. There are aspects of ourselves that also react in that way or act in that way. And sometimes it's just can be hard to see it in ourselves. We often people who are very judgmental. Oh God, they're so judgy. Yeah, well, I'm judging them for being judgy. Okay. Let's take a deep breath. Get back in touch with that heart. Soften, open, allow a feeling of warmth, feeling of space. What belief patterns and emotions are you ready to transform into something else? Particularly if they are belief patterns around your sense of power, your ability to be fully yourself in the world, things that limit you. And what are you transforming them into? Take a deep breath. What would you do if fear didn't stop you? What reality are you ready to create? Because tonight is the night to tell the universe, what reality are you ready to create? Can you see this reality? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? And more importantly, how would you feel when this reality has manifested? From here, go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. And let's rock a little bit from side to side. And then bring the soles of the feet together back in butterfly. If you can grab hold of the feet, do so. And just draw those feet down towards the torso. So you can feel the low back just solid against the floor. And then go ahead and lift the head and shoulders up, bringing the chin into the chest. Bring the feet up towards the head. Take a few breaths there. Good. And release the head back down. Bring the feet to the floor. And just do some slow windshield wipers here. And then let's go ahead and either roll to your side or come up. I do want to do a little bit of cow cat. We're moving into real Shavasana, but not quite yet. So from cow cat, if you can, we're going to engage Mula Bandha on the rounding part and the cat part. So go ahead and come into cow, drop the belly, raise the tailbone, look up, take a big inhale. On the exhale, round the spine and squeeze, lift up Muladhara. Mula Bandha, I'm sorry, Muladhara is the name of the chakra there. And release. And just do a few slow rounds, back and forth, and then we'll do the hold again. Okay, when you're ready, come into cow, big inhale. Now, belly drops. Exhale. Inhale, squeeze and hold the breath. And release. You can come all the way down to child's pose. Inhale back up. Cow. Exhale, cat. All the way down, hips to heels. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale up. Cow. Exhale, cat. Hips to heels. And last time, inhale up. Exhale, round. Hips to heels. And stay down in child's pose. Go ahead and walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. Shift the hips to the left. And reverse. Hands over to the left, hips to the right. Bring the hands and hips back to center. Walk the hands in towards the knees as you come up to seated. And once you're upright, just shift your hips off your heels and bring the feet around. We're going to come into bridge. So if you have a block or a bolster or pillows, can do that. We'll come down and lie on our backs. Let's do a little pelvic rocking first. So we'll do that with that breath that I like to do with this, which is inhaling, sipping the breath in through a straw, exhaling, spitting out the tongue. Okay. So first let's rock before we bring in that breath. So just rocking the pelvis forward and back, hips stay on the ground. When you rock the hip bones back, back is flat. When you rock the hip bones forward, you can arch. So inhale and rock the hip bones back, flat back. Exhale, rock the hip bones forward. Inhale, rock back. Exhale, rock forward. Okay, now sipping breath in, rock the hip bones back. Exhale as you rock forward, spit out the tongue, go ha. 3 more times. Inhale. Exhale, ha. Inhale. Exhale, ha. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Then we'll take our prop, whatever you're using, lift up the hips, and bring the prop to the very base of the spine. Arms down by your sides, palms rolled up. Just take a few deep breaths here. Just kind of think back to those questions and what really stood out in your mind. Because this is what you want to work with. And you may, particularly with that last question, your intention for the next 28 days may be very clear. Maybe you already had one coming in, which is great. But this is a particularly powerful time, again, for any affirmations that have to do with changing patterns of behavior, particularly patterns of behavior that are limiting you in any way. Okay. If you want to do about a minute of an inversion, you can take the legs straight up in the air, bring the inside edges of the feet together, letting everything touching the ground or the block be heavy. And whenever you feel complete with that, just bring the knees into the chest, lowering the feet back to the floor. And let's do one more version of bridge, whatever your choice is. So you might like the extended legs, extended arms, the long upward plank version. You might like butterfly bridge, the soles of the feet together, or just traditional feet on the ground, palms up, position of bridge. We'll take just about 8 breaths in whatever position, whatever variation you like. Couple more breaths here. Okay, and let's have everyone return to traditional bridge. So feet on the floor, and we'll do just a little self-massage. So bring your hands up to your shoulders, just stroking downward, shoulders to elbows. And then doing the same on the torso, stroking downward from the sternum towards the pubic bone. One hand after the other, just stroking downwards. And if you want to do some circular motions on the abdomen, you can do that as well. And then I always like to pick my head up with my hands and then lengthen the neck by just gently pulling on the skull like you're trying to pull it away from the shoulders. Place the head back down and maybe rubbing the neck with one hand on one side, creating a little heat, and doing the same on the other. Using your thumb and index finger to massage the ears. Massage the jaw, the temples. Do a few soothing strokes with your hands across the forehead. And then massaging the scalp either with your fingers or fingernails, or maybe gently pulling the hair. Good. Okay, now I want you to get really comfy. So if you really like bridge, you can stay, but I think it's, for me, preferable to come out of the elevated shape and just be flat. But I want you to get really, really comfy, cozy. And don't worry if your intention is not perfect or not even clear. You still have tomorrow. But let me just review a little bit about intentions. So again, be great if you could write an intention that helps you break through fears or integrates any of your shadow aspects. You don't have to go down that road, but that's kind of a Scorpio thing. Could also intentions about power, boundaries, just owning it. You can do anything. Okay. You always want to write them in a I am. So I am powerful. You want to make them positive, not use the negative. You wouldn't want to say I'm not weak anymore. I am powerful. You want to put them in the present tense. You want to make them as specific as you can. So if you really are trying to manifest something, so actually saying I am powerful, that's affirming. That's more of an affirmation. An intention would be really getting some details on, I am bringing in however much money a month. Money's a very Scorpio thing, so don't worry about that. Don't have shame. Own it. If it's money, whatever it is. Sex, if you want more sex or whatever. Okay, so you want to make it specific, and you want to include, so you want to, like, I am next month I'm made a no, you want to say present. So I am, the example they give is, I am celebrating the success of my new project with a friend over dinner. So something that's kind of visual, specific, and that includes a feeling word. So she said celebrating. You might say, I am joyous over the success of my new project. Okay. So if you're able to craft something right now, do so. If not, don't worry about it. You've got time, but you could just be thinking. And at the very least, think of something affirmative about what you're trying to draw in. So again, maybe it's just, I am powerful. I am powerful. I am limitless. There is nothing I can't do. And just feel it in your body, feel it in your bones. I am rich. Here's the interesting twist with Scorpio. Scorpio does have a lot to do with power and control and wants to be in control. But Scorpio, maybe Pisces too, but Scorpio is the ultimate power that comes from Scorpio is its ability to surrender to the greater, to the whole, to merge completely. And so once you have at least a little inkling of where you might go with your intention for the next 28 days, I want you to relax and I want you to give it over to grace. Give it over to the powers that be. I'm setting this intention. This is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I desire. Help me. Make this happen for me, or make whatever is best for me happen. I wanted to just, this is pretty famous quote by now from Marianne Williamson. It was something that Nelson Mandela used in his inaugural speech as president of South Africa. And we've all heard it, but I want you to really hear it tonight with fresh ears about what it really means to own our power and our dignity and our worthiness, and why it's important, not just for us, but for the world and for other people to see. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is actually our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Well, actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. You playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of spirit that is alive within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others the right to do so as well. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And you know, it's hard work to free those things in our shadow. But that really is the only way we are free. Let's go ahead and roll over onto our side. Just take a moment before you get up. If you were able to craft an intention, say it one more time. If you're not quite there yet, just affirm, I am powerful beyond measure. And when you are significantly powerful, you can come back to seated. I'm sitting here in the dark. See if I can get closer to the candlelight. It's very Scorpio, though. Sit in the dark. Got Kuan Yin in the back. All right. Go ahead and just, if you're upright, just take a moment to feel your sit bones connected to the earth. Remember when we started out doing Kapalabhati, doing breath of fire, and then holding it, feeling that energy rise up through the Sushumna. We are powerful, and we need to be powerful because we hold the light, and the light needs to be stronger than the dark right now. Okay, let's take a deep breath in. Sweep the arms out to the sides and up above the head. Exhale, bring the hands back to the heart. May we all have a wonderful month. Let's all be powerful and do good things. All right. Namaste.